Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Welcome back, everybody. It's week 2 on the Strange New World shuttle, and I've had all weekend to kind of sit with this and look at it and do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, seeing what it needs to get done and what doesn't. And I think what we're going to do this week, this is what I'm going to characterize as showroom fresh, straight off the replicator in Utopia Planitia, or wherever you want to believe it was made. This is straight off the factory floor. So what we need to do is we need to age it up a little bit and do some contrasting and some paint streaking and some scorching and some bare metal. These are workhorse vehicles. They're not necessarily what you would call your they're workhorses. They're going to get some abuse. They're not a pickup truck, but they're also not a sports car that's buffed and polished, or like a fire engine where they spend all their spare time just keeping it clean and tidy. No, this is going to have this is a SUV. This is a shuttle utility vehicle. So we need to throw some contrast at it, and most notably we need to put some scorching in there where it's come through an atmosphere and it might have some streaks. I'm not going to put like phaser strikes on it or anything like that, because it's not a fighter. It's not like a Viper or something that might have phaser strikes on it. But we certainly can do a wash over this to bring out some contrast and some color into these cracks. Now, it's true that these panels are probably way over scale. They're probably way too thick and too wide in relation to what the actual kit would end up turning out like. I think you can buy that maybe these are a little deep, but they're going to hold paint real nice. So we don't want to go, like with a black streaking. Something subtle. We'll do some subtle damage and dress this up a little bit. I still want to try to take another swing at tinting these windows to make them darker and more attractive. We'll do some damage in around here. We'll slop some grime and grease in around here. We'll have a little bit of fun with this, because like I said, this is not the finished. This is not the only shuttle I'll ever build. So things you're going to try out on this might never see the light of day on an actual kit. Okay, so I think we've got a good black washing, black scorching coat. Of course, the lion's share of your atmospheric scorching and everything is going to be on the bottom. A lot of the skidding is going to happen here. So that's darker on purpose. We do have some streaks at the top, but most of it is going to be on the bottom. And then the next thing to do is to let this dry and then come back and start doing the metal pass, where you are actually scraped down to the bare metal. And I'll do that with just a dry brush with a bit of this chrome, well, actually probably a bit of this steel, the Model Air steel, on a stiff brush, and just hit the corners and the highlights and stuff like that. And then we'll see what needs to be done to finish it. But I wasn't expecting this to take a lot of this week to finish up. Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday. It's the last day on this shuttle, one way or the other. The first thing I did this morning was to take some of the flat aluminum on a dry brush and just hit the high spots here, hit where the paint would be scraped off from wear and tear, particularly on the leading edge of things. It wouldn't happen so much on the back side, but on the front, particularly since this is one big old pointy arrow, you're going to see the most of your paint scrapage is going to come from here. And I did the top leading edges of some of the panels here. that's where your paint's going to be scraped off. So that's where you're down to bare metal. Did some more accenting around the front of the bazaars. I tell you, I am fighting. My natural impulse is to put a red stripe on those nacelles, and I am fighting that because they ain't there. What is known about this design is little known, and I have taken some liberties, I'll tell you. The number and the naming and all that. That's a liberty, but we know that there's no red stripe there, so I'm not going to put one on, but it just seems naked without it, though, I have to tell you. But that would go, if I were to completely redesign this thing, I would put a red stripe there and put the red stripe on that edge, but I didn't. But that brings us back to an important point. This sharp angle, that's a natural spot for the paint to get rubbed off, so I just took a dry brush with some of that silver on there and just hit the high spots. And it's probably more important that you only see it when the light catches it. So before I call this whole thing done, I'm going to take one more running stab at these front windows and try to see if I can get those to get some of this tinting material onto those front windows. See if I can make that work. Doing the finishing touch, and that is the front windshields. Now I've cut some pieces of PETG to shape. Did that last week. And today I'm putting the window film on it. Now this is tricky stuff. It's meant to be used on car windows, which are huge comparatively. Working on this in a small scale is a little bit trickier. Some reason it doesn't want to stick to the PETG. I have done the thing you're supposed to do, which is to take soapy water and spray it, spritz the object that you're putting this on. It would be glass windows in a car case, but in this case it's this thin PETG. And then you squeegee out the air bubbles, and if you're lucky and you do it enough times, you get something like that is very smooth, no air bubbles, no nothing going on behind it. And then I'm just going to lay these into the window openings that I've got, actually laying them in front of the frosted plastic that I have stuck in from the inside. But you can see where it's not wanting to stick to the PETG, and I don't know a better way to do that. You can see where it's pulling away. If I do this, you can see that it does not want to stay, and that's causing me a bugment because it's bugging me. I don't know really any way around that. Now that something like this may not be all that noticeable on a full-size window, but when your whole window is only that big, any little defect in it is noticeable. So I don't know what to do other than just to lay it in there and see if it behaves later on. It's creating an air bubble is what's happening. And I don't want to try to put any sort of spray adhesive or anything on this to get it to stick. The only other option would be to try to paint it with like a smoke or something, which if you don't do it really evenly can look spotty and ugly and not what you want. Now when I turn the lights on, that's kind of the look I want. It really diffuses everything that's going on in there. And I'm not going to try to put it on the side windows, just the front. But I am seeing an ugliness, and I don't know of a better way around that. Okay, so I bit the bullet and decided to try to paint them with the clear smoke. And one thing I don't like about it is that the smoke is a warm black, and I would prefer it to be a cool black like the tinting. But the tinting just wasn't hanging. It just wasn't sticking the way I wanted it to. And that's really all that's left that needs to get done. So we're going to let that dry. And I'm trying to do them all at the same time, at the same, with the same spray, at the same amount, so that they are all tinted the same amount. You don't want one that looks darker than the next, but I really am not digging. And if I don't like them, I can put them in the Tamiya thinner to soak and just soak the paint right off of them. We'll see how that turns out. This one actually blew it over and it flipped onto the paper towel, and now it's picked up the pattern of the paper towel. So I don't like that. It's giving me a bubbly. We're gonna soak this one. We're gonna start by cleaning this off right away. I don't care for it. So I just need to find a little cup here to pour some old thinner. It doesn't have to be the really clean thinner. I keep a jar of dirty thinner and a jar of clean thinner. This doesn't have to be in the clean stuff. Let's see if we can see. Oh, and I spill it all over. See, that's why you just leaving all of these goofs in. But we're going to wipe this one down and repaint it. The thinner for the Tamiya, this alcohol-based thing, it doesn't really affect the PETG like if this were an enamel thinner. It would melt the heck out of it. But it's just PETG, so it'll take it. Let's try that again with tweezers. And there we go. See? Clean as a whistle. Now I can dry this off and repaint it. Wondering if there is the black washes. No, I don't think they would stick as well. A, they're not Tamiyas, but B, I don't think they will stick as well. So let me determine which is the inside and which is the outside, since this is a symmetrically shaped window. I believe I had it that way around. So if I want the paint to be on the inside, then I need to make sure that the outside is facing down. Okay, let's try painting that one again. Alrighty, I'm just about ready to call this thing done. What I did was I sprayed the windows with the clear. You saw me do that, the smoke. And then I hit them with a flat coat of a clear flat coat to seal that in. And then I popped them in the frames, and I have to say that does look a whole lot better. Now, what I had to do to really finish it off was to paint around the inside edge of the frames with a black, with the flat black that I got the other day. Thank you very much, sir. Randy, you have saved my bacon on that, and what that did is it cleaned up the edge tremendously around those. So now we've got a light. It's a little bit more noticeable when it's on, that it's a little bit splotchier of a paint job, but I think it works fine, and having that black around the edge really does help. And then we have the good parts. We have all the colorful stuff. We've got the navs, and we've got the headlights, and we've got the greens on this side. Now I did go ahead and paint in the green here and the red here, even though I couldn't light them up. I did go ahead and paint them. But I think that's going to bring pretty much an end to this Strange New World shuttle. Let me see if there's one more thing I could do. You know, this is where it's only Tuesday, but this is where I get into that problem of knowing when to say when. And this is where we're going to part company. We are finished with the Galileo shuttle. It's a bit of an anticlimax at this point, but having put the weathering and then the streaking on it, there really isn't much left to do. So I do think that the windows look a lot better with that tinted material in there, particularly when they are off. It dresses it up. It's got this nice glossy look to the windows that really cleaned them up. Of course, I think the secret to that was painting the edges around the window sills, and I did go in and do the side windows after all. I really like the way that the headlights and the other accent lighting came out. The interior lights are a bit of a mixed blessing because there's no interior. I mean, it shows that there's some, that there's activity going on in there, but I like that formation better with the nacelles and the nav lights on, but not the interiors. Until there is, such a kit available with an actual interior, it's kind of draws your attention to the fact that there's nothing much going on in there. So we're going to leave it like this most of the time. But that finishes this shuttle. I didn't think it was going to take all of this week to do. So this being Wednesday, I'll probably put this video up tonight, and then I'll try to think about what I'm going to do in the next couple of days. Maybe pull out another kit and do a meet the parts type of thing so that I can have something else up on Friday. But there she is. Now, like I said, I have to amend my earlier comment, because since I built this, I have seen that there is another version of this kit available in the 3D printed world that actually does have a bit of an interior to it. But I've noticed that some of the geometry on that does not look right. It looks like it's a little too wide, particularly at the bottom of the back. It looks like this area is a little bit too wide. But like I say, until the powers that be issue us a actual licensed kit, this will be a popular subject amongst the 3D printing community. Excuse me. But to that end, I will tell you, you 3D printing people out there, you geniuses that know how to push a pixel better than I ever could, take a lesson from actual professional model makers. Or not people who make models, not people who build and paint models, but model companies. Break your parts down in a logical manner. Excuse me. Just because you can print the whole thing at one shot does not mean you should. There are lessons to be learned. Those people have been doing it for 100 years, it seems. Break the kit down. Your builders will like you. Your painters will like you. And chances are you will like yourself even better, because if you have one part failure, it does not mean that the whole thing has to be scrapped. If you broke this down into the logical pieces, it would be the bottom tub. It would be the top tub. It would be each for each of these nacelles. You could still do the front and the back. You could even leave the pylons on. But if you want to have a hatch open, you do that. You would do this as one piece, maybe. But there are ways to, and of course the doors, and then whatever interior you want to put in there. There are ways to make this wonderful model even better, and I hope that the designers out there will take some of these comments to heart, and maybe we'll see something real soon that is even better than this one. And that, good friends, is where we are going to leave this model. Like I said, it was a fun thing. 3D kits are always a mixed bag. Sometimes you get good ones, sometimes you get ones that could stand some improvement. This one kind of falls in the middle. I tried to do more with it than maybe was intended by the file maker. You can't really say the kit maker, by the file maker, the designer, because I threw lights at it, put things in it, and did things that probably were not in the mind of the person who designed this. But it turned out good overall. Again, I cannot wait to see what the actual kit of that would look like. But until that sweet day sometime in the future, we'll just have to make do with what we can. So until next time, y'all be good to each other, be good to yourself, be safe, be smart, get a booster if you need it, and we'll talk to you next time.